the outcomes that we have are phenomenal, and it's worth the effort. And don't get discouraged. We're going for the long shot. It's not today. It's not winning the battle. It's not the power struggle. It's training them and preparing them to walk in the calling that God has for them. To think about that. Don't think about today. Think about the 10 or 20 years from today and the opportunities that you may have to stand next to the fruit of your labor. There's a lot of families that, because of the virus, are going to start homeschooling, and they don't fully know what they're in for. Or maybe there's families that are homeschooling and they have a strong-willed child. And so our backstory, Carrie is our oldest. Carrie was our strong-willed child from birth. I have a granddaughter that's a little bit like Carrie now. It's fun to watch.
It is fun to watch.
Yeah. Now it's fun for me to watch now. That was a different day. I was the principal of a private school, and she was in the private school through kindergarten
through first grade.
First grade. And then in first grade, things just started to kind of break down with the teacher that we had and whatnot. And so the Lord was really moving us to homeschool. But we were afraid, and because homeschooling, I think that was mid-1990s, wasn't really popular. There were homeschoolers, but you didn't broadcast you were homeschooling. And so we brought Carrie home, and I was doing another job as well. And some days you would actually go with me and do the schoolwork and that. But you were a pistol.
Yeah.
And,
there's no denial.
And it could be kind of tough. And the Lord, I think the Lord gave us a lot of wisdom, and the Lord gave me a lot of insight that I would tell the story of Niagara Falls, because we lived in Niagara Falls at the time, and it's amazing to see the power of the falls. But when in the falls, like is it 80 or 90% of the water is diverted through the dam or through the water system at the falls to create energy. Interesting enough. And I would tell you that you have the power of the Niagara River, but if you don't learn to control that power, you'll destroy everything below you.
It erodes and eats away at everything and destroys.
Yeah, and so the goal is learning how to harness the power that you have inside you for productive use.
Right.
It's even like a lightning bolt. A lightning bolt has a lot of energy, but if that energy isn't captured, it's destructive.
Right.
When we find a way to harness power, then we can turn on lights and do amazing things.
Right.
And so that was what we were always kind of working for as we came along. So I was traveling. This was back in the day of pagers. I got off the airplane in LaGuardia Airport in New York City, and my pager was going off. And so I got to a payphone and called home. Can't even imagine what life was like then, because now it's like my cell phone would have been blowing up on the plane. And Kristen informed me that you had just been expelled from her homeschool.
Yep.
Good luck with it. It was kind of like, I've expelled her. Good luck with that. And I think we knew that our public school was not an option, and we really didn't want to go back to private school. So we found a solution that I could become more active in homeschooling. Mom obviously was still very active, but the interaction part of the day, we worked together. And it was brutal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Many lessons learned.
Yes. Carrie helped me become a better parent all the way through. And I remember one of the illustrations was you kind of were shutting down on the schoolwork, and you would just, like, if you decided you weren't going to do something, you weren't going to do it. And so I was traveling all the time. And I would go to these hotels, and people would have to serve my every need. They'd have to come in and clean up after me. They'd have to cook my dinners. They'd have to clear the table. And so I and I realize this is a very broad generalization, but I said, hey, you know what? I'm realizing that people who take their education seriously are served by people who didn't take their education seriously. So if you're not going to take your education seriously, then I'm going to prepare you for a life of serving others. And so then you become a mom and you have to do it anyways.
Yeah,
but I was like,
it works a lot.
I was like, you're going to scrub our bathrooms, you're going to do all the chores and the work. And her brothers, they loved it because they could take a tissue, drop it off on the floor, and be like, excuse me, ma'am, could you please pick up my tissue? And Carrie was very prideful and didn't want to do it, but she had to because I was preparing her for the life of service she was wanting because she wasn't taking advantage of her education.
I took advantage of my education real quick.
That did change a lot. Yeah. And so we went through that process, and I always believed that the Lord had his hand on your life, that the Lord had purpose for you, that you were called to do mighty things, and that the strength that you had was you were going to need it. Mm-hmm. And rather than break your spirit, our goal was to help you learn to control your spirit. Mm-hmm. Not in your own power, but just understand that every action was important in the way it influenced others. And so you finished your high school degree. You went to Liberty University. Mm-hmm. We're on the dean's list, which is crazy. On the dean's list at Liberty, and then married and have your family. Fun times. Mm-hmm. I used to do this picture, right? I'd draw a stick of dynamite, and I'd say to Carrie, I'd say, this is dynamite. The fuse is lit. You've lit the fuse with Mom. Don't blow on the fuse. Your goal is to keep that fuse from hitting the dynamite, because if it hits the dynamite, it's game over. Stop that. Because you guys are like, how fast can we make it hit the fuse?
It's all very true.
Yes.
I think one of the favorite quotes that I read for Strong-Willed Children, and I don't remember the source, I think it was on a Charlotte Mason style blog at one point, but we like to talk about them as a strong-willed child, and this turned it, they said, actually, they're pretty weak-willed, like they don't have control of anything, the emotions, the outbursts, they have no control. And that really shaped, I also have a strong-willed son, and that also shapes the way that I've parented him, of seeing, not that he's like this in control, trying to bulldoze his way, but it's a child. He has no control over anything going on internally. And so helping him, I have to tell him all the time, you are the one in control of you. You are the one in control of your outbursts. You have to bring that to the Lord. And
yeah, it's almost an emotional intelligence. Yeah, that's interesting. Well, there's a reason that I wanted to share all this, and it's because some of you are dealing with strong-willed children today. And homeschooling has fruit. Like, I am 100% an advocate of homeschooling. I don't believe it saves. I don't believe that it spares our children from all the pain. But I do believe that it gives them a head start, and especially when it's done with some effort, we help our children get through a difficult time of adolescence and everything else. And Carrie, today, we are so proud of you, and what you do in writing the curriculum. You did Foundations Phonics, and so you know who I am now. To see kids accepting the Lord through their phonics curriculum and make a commitment is just incredible. And to see kids discovering the Creator through their creation, through creation, discovering Creator. All that to say that the outcomes that we have are phenomenal, and it's worth the effort. And don't get discouraged. We're going for the long shot. It's not today. It's not winning the battle. It's not the power struggle. It's training them and preparing them to walk in the calling that God has for them. Every single battle that we encountered was worth today. And so I have that blessing, and I would I would encourage you today, if you're dealing with a strong-willed child, to think about that. Don't think about today. Think about the 10 or 20 years from today, and the opportunities that you may have to stand next to the fruit of your labor. We grow weary, don't grow weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not. So to hold on to the promises that we have.
It adds motivation for that daily training for what the Lord has in store for our kids down the road. You know, it's not the battle over the shoes today. It's their calling in the future that we work for.
Yeah. And we're not thinking about the comfort of this lifetime. Mm-hmm. You know, I tell people when I was a young guy and people tried telling me what we should be doing with our family, I would just say, no, I will stand accountable to the Lord for the opportunities I had to steward what He gave to me. He gave me 9 children, and I will stand accountable for each one and how I stewarded those. And my children and my family is the only thing that crosses the boundary from the physical world to the spiritual world. We're going to be together for eternity. And so that's what we're working towards. It's eternity. It's not here. It's not a career at 25, because life takes us different ways than we could even imagine, right?
It sure does.
But we're kingdom minded in all that we do. And so hopefully that's an encouragement to you, and hopefully it gives you a little bit of extra motivation to press on even through the meltdowns and the strong will. And you know what? I've come to believe that my relationship with my children is the biggest type and shadow I have in my life of my relationship with my Father God. And when my children are melting down or strong-willed or don't have the emotional intelligence or whatever, that's me. That's me and my relationship to Him. And thankfully, He's patient and understanding, but I see how I'm behaving, and it wakes me up. So, good. Well, do you have anything else?
I don't think so.
Good. Well, thank you for coming over.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Pleasure doing a bootleg preview.
Yeah. I'll have to hide you, smuggle you out of the building to keep you out of jail. So, all right, guys. Well, hopefully this has been a blessing. Be sure to take a look at Adventures in Creation and Adventures in the Physical World. I think they are fantastic science courses for early elementary, and I look forward to the next editions to come.
You're not going to put a number on it this time?
Up to grade 6. It's up to grade 6.
Every month the level ups.